Hi guys, welcome to Power of the Tongue. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm here with Courtney. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and as well, thank you, Courtney, for joining us. Um, yeah, you're such a talented musician, singer, and of course, lover of the Lord. I'm very excited for people to hear your story today. But honestly, I also wanted for people to know how to find you. So if you want to hear some of her music from Courtney, the name of her band is Leora. Is that how you say it?
Yeah,
Leora.
it's Liora. And people pronounce it all kinds of weird ways, but the correct way is Leora. You got it. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And you can find her album on all major music sites.
hmm
So, yeah, but with that, I just wanted to, with that being said, I just was so excited again to talk to you, Courtney, and I'd love for you to just share part of your story, some of your background with us, and how God has led you to where you are today, if that works for you.
Yeah, I'll do my best. So, that's so much information. So I'm just praying about asking the Lord to help me find the words, I guess. But I am obviously in love with the Lord, like you're saying. So I define myself as that first and foremost, just that I belong to Him. But second to that, I'm a wife and a mom of four awesome kids. And I have been involved in worship ministry in the past, but right now I'm not involved in worship ministry. However, I am still an artist in my own time. And so I have been with Jesus my whole life. I've grown up in the church and I've always been around the truth. So I can't honestly say that there was ever a time where I didn't know who he was and had this radical conversion into faith or anything like that. However, I feel like for just myself personally, that it's probably even rowdier than that, just because to know and have complete awareness of truth from literally birth to still wrestle with the human heart that wants to stray from the Lord, even being fully aware of. I mean, we're not ever fully aware of every attribute that he is, but you know what I'm saying? Fully aware of the truth that this is exactly what I need in my life and who's going to take care of me the best. And, wrestling with that growing up, wrestling with that as an adult and whatnot. And so I would say when people ask me about my testimony, I feel like in my mind, I think like, which one? I don't know. Like, I feel like I have a testimony for every aspect of my life because I feel like on one level or another, I've challenged the Lord in every aspect of my life. And he's had to do a transforming work in me on one level or another in every single aspect. So I guess maybe to speak a little more towards worship, is that kind of what direction would you like me to go?
Well, it can be any direction because I love your story because you express worship. We kind of talked about that too, and that was something I was going to talk about in a few minutes. But, um, we've spoken about what it means to worship with our lives.
Right.
And yeah, and you, I feel, have really done that, not only through music, um, but you've explained it in a different way. So what does that mean for you to worship with your life?
Right. Okay. So I think it's so kind that you would say I'm good at it. I don't know that I would totally agree with you yet, but I'm better than I used to be. And what I mean by that is, like I mentioned before, right now I'm not involved in any kind of worship ministry at my church. Now, everything in regards to that is completely taken care of, but I was involved for a long time. And after a period of time, I put myself in a position where I had to step down. And the details of that, it's not that I'm unwilling to share them, but because it involves other people, I keep it close to my chest. Anyhow, with that came a heartbreak that was really, really necessary for the Lord to do in me. It's not the first one he's ever done in me, but it's the one that is, I believe, the most life changing for me. I was totally crushed and was not able to serve in the way that I wanted to serve. I wasn't able to lead worship for my women's ministry groups anymore, for my church anymore. And it's something that I went willingly with because I wanted to readjust my heart and pursue the sincerity that I had lost with the Lord. But with that comes kind of starting over. I remember that the first week that I went back to church after I had stepped down was one of the hardest ever because I am seeing all the areas where I used to fit and I no longer do. And I remember that the Lord spoke to my heart and gave me the verse. I believe it's in 2 Samuel. I could be wrong. Where it says to obey is better than to sacrifice. Obedience is greater than sacrifice. And he spoke to my heart and told me, you know what, Courtney, you're not singing today. It makes me emotional. You're not singing today, but because you are obeying me and because you are seeking me first, you are a better worship leader now than you have ever been before. And I just thought that was really sweet of the Lord because here I'm literally doing nothing, just dragging myself around because I don't even want to be there. And I'm totally bummed out and everything's like sad and I failed and, poor me basically. And, he just reminded me afresh. And this is things that I've told other worship leaders, things that I've told my team, things that I've told myself in the past that worship is more than just a song. It's more than the noise that we make with our mouth. It's something that comes from our posture in our heart towards the Lord and the way that we live our lives. But it just clicked afresh for me in this more recent part of my testimony that, you know what? If I'm called to be a worship leader, that is first and foremost to be executed in the way that I live my life. And nothing will disqualify me from that in the sense that the greatest act of worship is truly just obedience. It's obedience to the Lord. It's falling more in love with Him. It's personal first. And so even though right now I'm not really involved in things, and that's okay. Actually, it's all pretty much better. But I'm loving my time with the Lord, relearning what worship leading really is. Worship leading in the sense of having self-control not to talk bad about people that maybe have hurt me. Worship leading in the sense of, when it's easier to talk about how the world is falling apart, I talk about how the Lord is holding it together. Worship leading in the sense that I'm not overcome by anything other than awe and wonder for who my God is and what He's done for me, and a fresh sense of excitement for what He can do for you, for what He can do for all of us, just changing that perspective. And in those ways, I lead worship. And so my instrument, I do play, I do sing, I still love that. And I'm not saying that isn't a way that we worship the Lord. Absolutely, not saying anything weird here. But our first instrument is our heart. Like, our heart is an instrument that we play. And with every beat that it takes, it is yielding worship to a power. And there was a time where my heart was playing its song for the enemy, where my heart was playing its song for myself, where my heart was playing its song for somebody else in my life. But real worship is when your heart beats and that rhythm, that song is directed to the Lord and to Him alone. And I can say that I don't do it perfectly, but I get to do that now. And it's just really sweet that the Lord has seen fit to tune my heart in such a way that would please Him. So
I love that so much because it's just by speaking the truth, like you speaking the opposite of whatever that's happening in this world today and speaking what God is doing. And it's just like, that's so true, is your heart knows the truth. And
right.
That is how it's being worshiped. And people are drawn to that light, even if you're not singing. And I love that so much. And that's truly, when I was preparing for this, I heard the word freedom. And that was like how I see you. I just see freedom. And I know you've shared a little bit about your story, and you don't have to go into all the details, but what does that mean for you personally, for your story? What has God freed you from?
I can tell you right now that my biggest struggle, ever since I probably was a little girl, really truly, is that I care way too much about what people think of me. That is a struggle that I have dealt with my whole life. So it does kind of make sense that God would call me to be in front of thousands of people at any given point in time, because that is the perfect platform for ultimate humiliation, which I have experienced and have needed from time to time again. So I have a tendency to worship people. That is just the way that my heart is bent. I'm fully aware of it. It does not change that I am bent that way. What changes is that when I allow the Lord to come in and have control over my life, and I yield all of those idolatries to him, which is really what it is, he makes me a new creation. And so that is what sets me free. So just like you're saying, the truth will set you free. Well, a big part of being free is knowing what holds you first. And so I was not able to even grasp the idea of being free until I first was able to confront what was binding me and understand the truth of that, because I had told myself so many lies about my gross problem of really, idolizing people, that no, that's not, I'm not making them an idol. I'm just being considerate. Like, obviously, I don't want to offend them. I care about them. That's why I'm so concerned. It's just because I love them. You know what I mean? And, or it would be something along the lines of, no, it's just that, who wouldn't want to, show God off well. Like, I just want to be a good represent, you know what I mean? I just want people to, because if they like me and I'm representing the Lord, then it's really good for you, God. You see what I mean? How I'm like negotiating my problem, I'm great at that. And so where the break came for me, where I had to step down, a huge part of what was tied up in that was me worrying about what people would think, instead of just obeying what the Lord had asked me to do. And truth be told, God had asked me to step down a while before that. And it wasn't like I was trying to be in bold defiance and just shut him down. But really, truly, that in essence is what I did. Because I was like, no, that's not what you mean. Not right now. Everything's fine. This will be fine. Everything's fine. And the confronting the truth of how I was really bound was the first step for me, understanding that, you know what, I care too much. I care too much about what people think and not enough about what you think, Lord, because ultimately that is what is steering my ship, is that not, am I going to disappoint God if I do this or I don't do this? Where my mind was going is, what are people going to think? And that's just super wrong. So I was bound by that because I'd made it my God. And, there is freedom in the Lord. There's freedom in Jesus. And when he's your God, you're not bound. And so all I had to do was switch gods. So instead of making people my God who bound me, I turned to my Lord and I made Jesus my God afresh, and he freed me. And, I struggle with that. There's a reality of how it's not just like, boom, fairy tale from here on out. I'll give it to you straight. Like, there are some days, even recently, where I don't want to get out of bed. I struggle with depression. I have a hard time understanding that he really does mean good for me. I get challenged with that. I'm under attack a lot. I mean, we all are, right? But stepping back into that freedom and choosing to make Jesus my God every single day. When you choose to make the Lord your God every single day, then you step into freedom, brand new, every single day. And it's not just a one-time fix all. Obviously, Jesus died for me, and so I have the eternal gift of life and the freedom that comes with that. But as far as the daily living and the grind of it all, it has to be chosen every day. Those idols have to be laid down every single day. And there's nothing better. Like, sometimes it's really scary. But for anybody who's watching that maybe is also struggling, or something's just coming to your mind that, it just has more of a grasp on you than it should, you have nothing to lose. Like, you really don't, because it is so good over here. Like, it's just wild and awesome and full of good things. So Yeah. Freedom's a good word.
That's what I heard. I just heard freedom and, knowing pieces of your story, but also, that's the process that I struggled with when these last few years, the Lord really took hold of my life, was I never knew how to get to that freedom. I never knew, I just felt like it was just this so far out concept that I would never get to. And then it was like, okay, where's the step-by-step book here that gives you the details on how to get free? I did not get it. And like you said, it was just the daily sitting down with the Lord. That's how it all started for me, was just at night, I grabbed my Bible, and that was what I did. I grabbed it. I read Ephesians was my first. That's
me too. Sweet. Yeah.
it's such a special book because it talks about your freedom, and it talks about that you can know the Lord, that he would give us wisdom and revelations that we would know him better. And it's just but it was just sitting down with him and spending that time turning the TV off and just grabbing my Bible instead. And then he spoke. He started speaking to me. I started writing a journal because I wanted to remember what he was saying. And it was just like, if we give him that time, sorry, I'm going to get emotional too, but if we give him that time, he shows up.
Yeah, he does.
But that process, like you said, of not letting the lies take hold, like the depression, the anxiety, the fear, the trying to be worthy in others' eyes, just like all those things, if we would start the day right and in him and in time with him, he would speak all of the truth over us.
Yes.
And we won't, our day will just be, we do have to pick up that cross every single day. And so I love that you explained that, that it's a process, and it doesn't mean that it's gone, like your anxiety, those feelings, like mine is guilt and condemnation and shame and stuff. And so just because I'm free, it's like I still feel those feelings, and those feelings still come up. But when you know the truth, you can fight those things. And so
Absolutely. Yeah, I struggle with guilt and with shame because of the idolatry of people that I had set up in my life. So the instant that anybody showed any kind of disapproval or disappointment, whether it was called for or not, then it was instantly this huge burden of just failure and defeat. Just totally had me in the dirt. And because I struggle with depression, I have a tendency, I have to really guard my heart with that. The enemy, it just had a heyday, and sometimes he still tries. And there are just times that I'll just also want to encourage anybody listening that you don't feel free. You don't. And there are times where you don't feel like reading your Bible, and you don't feel like God is with you, and you don't feel like he is listening. There are times where you just might not feel anything for a while. But you know what? It's not about how God makes you feel. It's about who he is, and there was a time for me during this stretch of growing and crushing that God really removed my feelings from me. And I was challenged, where I felt like he had said to me, Court, if I'm not just bringing you happiness, will you still love me? Will you still love me? Will you still hang out? Are you still going to be my girl? Will you still show up? Because, there are times where the Lord probably, when Jesus was getting ready to go to the cross, he even begged the Father, Lord, Lord, if there's any way, take this cup from me. He didn't feel like being slaughtered publicly. I'm sure he did not feel like it, but he did that for me. You know what I mean? And so how many more feelings can I deny myself to show up for him? And so push through that. I just want to say too, because it can really discouraging when you start on that path, to not really feel like there's an instant difference. But you have to know the truth. You have to understand that every promise that the Lord makes you is 100% airtight. He cannot be defeated, and his promises never break. So if you know that his word says that you are free because you have confessed your sin, you have received him as the Lord your God, and he has just totally done a work in your life, whether you feel it or not, you have to understand that truth, know that that promise doesn't break. Nothing can take you out of the center of his hand, right? And there are just times where you have to just hold on to that for dear life, because the feelings aren't going to come. And maybe they will. I usually find that after a week or two, I feel a lot better. Just because I'm a fickle little human, and so it's just like this all the time. So, but sometimes it does last longer than that. I've had stretches of depression that lasted, a year or more. And so an encouragement to people out there, you just do it. And I've got 4 kids. My husband's a police officer. We're crazy busy all the time. I have every excuse in the world to just sit in my garbage and never get up again, because there's no time and there's no energy and there's no motivation. And I'm telling you, that's a bunch of hogwash. There is time. There is energy. If it's the last minute that you have, if it is the last breath that you have, if it is, it belongs to the Lord before it belongs to anybody else. Your husband, your kids, your friends, your housework. I'm serious. Like, you can't afford to not spend that time. Like, and I have always known that too, but I just feel like the older I get in the Lord, the more I realize, just, man, it's just simple, but really, truly, like, how important that is. And then also, like, it talks about in James that, to confess your sins to one another that you may be healed. A lot of the things that we struggle with, we think that our problems are really special and incredibly unique to us, and they're just really not. So for anybody who's out there struggling with something, like, reach out, pray about it, see if the Lord would put something on your heart. I'm not just trying to tell you to do whatever, but you'd be surprised. We're all trash bags without Jesus. So nobody's special. Like, I'm not special. I just desperately need him, and he meets me where I am. That's literally all I got. So yeah.
I love it. I love it. I totally feel that. And I love that we can be our trash bags, like, God doesn't say fix yourself and then come to me. He says, come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. He will give us rest.
Yeah.
But it's that process that we have to get out of our own heads.
Right.
And like you said, instead of desensitizing ourselves and trying to distract ourselves and take ourselves away from reality, we need to stay in reality, and we need to go to him. And we need to run from the truth, because that's exactly what Satan wants us to do. He wants to kill, steal, and destroy. And he will destroy us if we let him. And that's why that battle is so important. I did just recently a Bible study, Priscilla Shriver, The Armor of God.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing one, because it is like to understand the armor of God is so powerful. And then we realize what it's really for. Yeah. And I love it. He gave me this vision. And so, how faith is our shield and our breastplate of righteousness. So the breastplate of righteousness is Jesus. Basically, he has made us righteous. Right. But our faith is what protects that view of ourselves as righteous. Like, so if our faith is wavered, if we're not standing on the truth of God's word and who we are, we question the righteousness that Jesus gave us. And so it's just like, we really have to stay strong in our faith.
Yeah.
We can protect our hearts, like you said, and our minds. Yeah. And so, yeah, and that's kind of where, why I love your music so much, because, oftentimes, like we're talking, freedom can be simply to try and be free from ourselves and all of these lies and things that we tell ourselves. And with your music, I feel like you've used it as an outlet, to speak these things in the truth into existence. And that's why I do think like they've spoken to me deeply, is because I know they are coming from your heart. And and you just have such raw expression, there's just such raw feelings and emotions that you're expressing. And Collide is such a beautiful song, and that's something that I have loved. And could you explain to us what inspired you to write that? And yeah, what are you trying to express in your music?
Yeah, so I do use it as an outlet. It's something that the Lord and I just are able to share. I'm really thankful for that gift that we have of intimacy together in that way. So with Collide, I was writing it during this time where I'd stepped down. And so what I had a counselor and a dear friend that I had been speaking to kind of through processing some of this stuff was talking to me about how it's funny you mentioned like the armor of God, because she was telling me, you know what, I just wanted to run away and hide. Like I just didn't want to have to face it anymore. I didn't want to deal with it anymore. I was like, you know what, God, I'm just done. Cooked. Like it's fine. I'm just going to go away over in my corner and raise my children and have a quiet life and do nothing ever again, because that seems more comfortable. And she told me, you know, Courtney, there's no armor that protects your back.
Oh,
She says, if you turn away from the battle and you decide to retreat, there is nothing that protects you from the backside. And I was like, wow, that was just so profound to me. And I thought, I don't want to get shot. Like, really, truly, it started kind of as a selfish thing. Like, well, I'm going to get creamed if I do that. So I guess I won't be doing that. But then also I realized how much hiding I was actually doing, even throughout my whole life, as I was looking back and pondering with the Lord, like, whether it was just because of shame or feeling unworthy, feeling like, why would he love me? How could he possibly see me? Just feeling really insignificant. And then when I had struggled with sin, when I had struggled with any kind of failure whatsoever, that just exacerbates the problem of wanting to hide. You know what I mean? Because now I'm ultra ashamed and whatever. And so the Lord was showing me like, Court, I'm gonna meet you where you are. Like I'm running for you, like I'm chasing you down. And if you're gonna just sit over there and wait for me, like I'll get to you, but it's gonna take longer. Why don't you come out and meet me halfway? And so I literally had just for this song specifically, literally had this vision of God running towards me getting over myself, for Pete's sake, like getting over myself, or just realizing like, oh my gosh, there comes the love of my life. I can't wait. Like just jumping up and running like to each other and literally running with such intensity that the moment of impact was almost like a collision, like just this
that's so good.
explosion of coming together with the Lord. And sometimes it hurts. Sometimes it hurts when you have to get smacked in the face with the truth and God meets you where you're at, but there's all this stuff that he has to bring to your attention in order to eliminate the space between the two of you. And that's hard, but it's worth it. It's worth it. Like I would take it lighting myself on fire and broken into a million pieces for that collision point, because that's where you get free. It's where you get free. And that's also where even though you're at a place of brokenness, it's where I was made whole for the very first time. Even though I'd known him my whole life, there's this brokenness that, he was just chasing after in me. And that collision point isn't something to be afraid of, and it's not something to hide from. Run to it. Seriously, run to it. Abandon everything you think you know. Abandon what people are going to think about you. Abandon the fact that maybe you're running funny. I don't know. Abandon all of it. Like just get out there and meet him. The quicker the better, because he loves you so much. Like he's so wild about you. He's wild about me, why wait? So that's just kind of the inspiration from it. I just had that vision of God and I just losing all care in the world and just smashing into each other, basically running a million miles an hour. And just in the verses and stuff, it just talks about like how he sees me, like he saw me before time was even in existence. And he knew who I was before I was even on the planet. And so, to think and to feel that he does not hear me now that I am here is absolutely ridiculous. He does. He does. And so, more than anything, I think that it was a reminder that I just needed to speak over my own heart, because these are the areas where I tend to doubt him. It's not that I'm particularly strong in understanding the collision point or particularly enlightened in understanding how he loves me. I struggle with all those things just like anybody else, but I write to remind myself of the truth, because our words are powerful. They really are. And hopefully to remind somebody else of the truth too, that he loves you so,
I love it so much. And yeah, that's exactly what I got from the song.
Yeah.
And to hear where you came from with it though, oh gosh, I'm like, I'm gonna collide.
Get out there.
Well, this has been so awesome, and I know I'm gonna have you sing that song here in a few minutes, but just had a couple more questions before we end. What do you feel God is calling you into next?
I believe that I have today. And so I know that that is probably not like a very exciting answer. However, I've been really convicted lately about just a clear presentation of the gospel to the people in my life. And so I feel really refreshed in understanding his purpose for the gospel in our world. And so I just feel like whether it's interesting because over this last year, what God's done with me has been so transformative. It's not really about things to do, but more about truth to display, I guess. And so right now the truth of the gospel is just heavy on my heart, and I don't really care how it comes to be, whether it's in my music, whether it's in my art, whether it's just in my daily living, whether it's in how I can encounter somebody at the grocery store or how I can show kindness to a neighbor. My main objective right now is really just sharing the gospel with people, making them understand that he loves them so incredibly much, because I don't like what's happening in our world right now. And I'm not saying that there isn't something to be said about being proactive in certain areas. I vote and things like that, obviously. But really, truly, the cure for the planet is the gospel. And so I feel a heavy burden to just be living that out and pursuing the gospel message with as many people as I possibly can for right now, and keeping that perspective, not getting overwhelmed. So I don't know if that's really the answer you're looking for, but as far as like anything technical, I don't make those plans anymore. I just don't. For today, I have an interview with Tana, and in my heart, what transcends anything past the present is just that I want people to know who Jesus is and what he did for me, because we live in a world that is completely bound and could really use freedom.
I love it. Yeah. I love that so much. That's the best answer I could have asked for. Because it's true, even like with what I'm doing right now, it feels overwhelming sometimes, and it feels like I have to do it, or I have to take the reins, or my next steps are all on me. And it's like, just live the moment and just see what it's for. What was the purpose of this from the beginning? It's to show people that there is power in our tongue. There's power, there's life and death, and the things that we're listening to and the things that we're believing about. It speaks life or death into ourselves. And so, it's all to point back to the Lord, and for it to be that simple, just to get through this moment, sometimes that's all we have, we aren't guaranteed tomorrow.
Right.
So I love your answer. I think it was perfect.
There's so much peace in it, and I love it. It used to stress me out, but at this point, I really love not knowing. And for anybody who's a planner or a list maker really has a hard time with the unknown, we could talk. We could seriously talk, because I used to be you. And it's not that doesn't creep up. It's not like and I don't have to deal with it now and again. But really, truly, the testimony I have with Jesus is that I don't worry about unknown things anymore. And if you would like that ability to not have to be stressed out about things you don't know, to know really truly, not just saying it or putting something on, but to really truly be able to not care, and not in a reckless way, but just in this way that is free, that is full of joy, that is full of peace. That's what you can have with the Lord. Like, that's what you can have when you really are surrendering to just letting him take control of it all, because it's good. I've got today. Today is a good day. I love him and he loves me, and anybody that I come in contact with is going to know about it on some degree today, and then tomorrow we're going to get up and we're going to do it again. And I'm looking forward to going home to be with my God, like whether that's 70 years from now or 7 days from now. I really don't care. I just want to be able to stand before him and know that I did not fail him every single day. Know that when he brought me opportunities to love on his kids and to tell people about his goodness, I did it. And I did it well, because it's true in me. It's the truth in me. So.
Yeah. Something he shared with me a while back was, there's no pressure in my presence. And that hit me so hard, because I put so much pressure on myself to perform and okay, well, I didn't say hi to that person, or I should have given that homeless guy some money, or all of those things. And then you just put all this pressure on yourself. But if it's coming from a heart that has been transformed, and a love that is pure, and a heart that is pure, like, the Holy Spirit will direct us to the right person and the right thing to do and the way to help that person, because you may never say God's name once, but you showed the love of God, so there's no right way to do it. It's just being obedient, like you've said from the beginning. It's just about being obedient. And well, I have one last question for you.
Sure.
Is there anything else that you would like to share about your story that you think would help or encourage anyone watching?
Well, I'm trying to think about maybe what I wish someone would have shared with me or something.
You've said a lot, so if there is anything.
Talk a lot. God, he's just so good. And that just seems small, but it's not. Like, he's good. And I know that a lot of the people that watch your stuff, they're other believers or people in ministry and stuff like that, other artists or whatever. So maybe it seems redundant to tell people who already know he's good that he's good. But, I knew he was good my whole life, and I never get tired of hearing it. And, it's not that all of us have to be struggling with something. So I'm not just trying to continually go back to that. Like, I don't know. It is kind of on my heart, though, that he just wants to love you. Like, and he knows what is the best for you. And you got to just listen to him. Like, just listen to him. If he's telling you to back off on something, do it. It is what's good for you. You're not going to miss out. It's not going to be a bummer. Like, it's going to be what's good for you. And it might hurt. I'm not saying the whole thing is going to be easy, but listen to him. I did not always listen to him. And, besides the fact that, it caused me a lot of pain that I wish it didn't cause me, I'm actually to a point in the process now where I don't even care about how it hurt me. But I am grieved for how it hurt him, that he loved me so much and he asked me to do something and I didn't think that he loved me enough. And so I said no. And then, on the flip side of that, if God's asking you to step out and you know that he's asking you to step out, if you don't do it, what you are saying is that you don't believe that he's going to take care of you when you step out. And so just like with me, if you don't step back when he tells you to step back, that means that you really don't believe that he's going to take care of you if you step back. And that is just something I would encourage myself. If I go back in the past, I would encourage anybody else to just believe that he's good, understand that, like, to the core, know that he loves you so much, and just do what he says, like, because he's got the best plan.
He does. He really does. And he's known since the beginning what our purpose is and our plan is. And you're right. Like, we learn through the disappointments, we learn through the process and the things that we've done. But he always has better. And we could have made a different choice. Yeah. And sometimes we're tough-headed and we got to learn from our mistakes. But
it's true.
But the fact that he's given us all of these rules that people call them, really not rules, they're just guidelines. It's because he loves us, and it's because he's good. Like you're saying, like, it's because he wants the best for us. It's not because he wants to take away anything from us. He wants to give us more than we could ever ask for. Yeah. And once we hit rock bottom and we realize all the things that we've been doing and that have brought no fulfillment into our lives, like, we're like, man, we're like, why did I waste so much time to get here? But it is the process. And now we get to talk about it. We get to talk about this amazing gift and this love that we might not have known if we hadn't fallen so far down. So thank you. Thank you for sharing all of your story.
Thank you for the opportunity, because it's real sweet.
Yeah. Well, it's been a blessing. And well, if you wouldn't mind, I know I promised we would hear your song Collide. Do you mind sharing that with us?
I will. Hold on, give me a second here.
Okay, that's all good.
Make sure. Can you hear okay?
Yes, ma'am. Sounds great.
You illuminate the depth of night, that the earth revolves around in flight. And before your breath became the light, you saw me. There is no shadow, no deep of night, and time itself cannot hinder your sight. Before beginning, you've come for me, and I hear the lightning bound at your feet. So I'm running fast to where we collide, abandoning all of the places I hide. Take all that I am for all of my life. I love you, Lord. I love you, Lord. It's you appointed every grain of time. That would be the shoreline of my life. And before the waters knew the line, you chose me. Oh, beauty known that you would not run past to make me your own. And like a tidal, you come for me. Head on collision, it's deep calls too deep. So I'm running fast to where we collide, abandoning all of the places I hide. Take all that I am for all of my life. I love you. Yes, I love you.
Oh, I love it. Take all of our lives, right?
Yes, please do something with them.
Well, after that beautiful song, would you be willing to pray us out?
I'd love to. God, I just thank you so much for who you are. Lord, I'm thankful that you don't change the way my feelings change. God, I'm thankful that you don't see things the way I see things. Lord, it says in your word that your ways are high above our ways, your thoughts high above our thoughts. And God, I'm so grateful for that. You are good to me. You are good to us. Lord, I just pray that above anything that we would scheme or plan, that you would just have your way in me, that you would have your way in all of us, Lord, that we would know you better and we would better make you known. God, you are good. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Courtney. This is such a gift. And
Absolutely.
thank
Thank
you guys.
you. You blessed me. This is nice to hang out, talk
I
about good
know.
stuff.
I know. It's such an awesome thing to do, and to just praise or to talk about our Jesus and to
Yes.
give him all the glory for this. So
In our
thank
conversation, even, right?
yep, he was here for sure. But I just wanted to address everyone else. Don't forget that there is power in your tongue. And until next time, God bless, guys.